Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 81st part of What If Deku Was Sanji's Reincarnation, My Heroes Reborn. The author of this great fanfic is Ivily. Links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 81, In You All Alone. Izuku suddenly found himself on a beach. He wondered how he got here, but the last thing he remembered was getting knocked unconscious by the sleeping gas. "Where am I?" he asked. "Don't worry, you're just dreaming," said a voice. Izuku turned around and gasped at who he saw right behind to him. It was Sanji. "What? How is this possible?" asked Izuku. "I just told you're dreaming." "Weren't you even listening?" asked Sanji. "Oh yeah, you did say that, sorry," said Izuku. Sanji just sighed at his reincarnation. Meanwhile, on the UA bus, Aizawa began to give them all orders. Thankfully, before they left the event center, they were able to change back into their costumes. "Most of you will tasked with search and rescue. However, King Explosion, Shoto and Kriati will be tasked with fighting the Nomu," said Aizawa. Katsuki grinned at that. He had a lot of anger to get out, along with dealing with the worry about Izuku and the possibility of dealing with the reincarnation of an enemy. Granted, there were plenty of allies and respected enemies, i.e., enemy they had while they were enemies in their past life, but would probably be considered friends as they were now on the same side, that had both, but he wasn't sure. Taking out his frustrations sounded perfect. He had a demented smile which everyone noticed. "Toru," said Aiko. "Don't worry, I'll lend the transceiver to Todoroki," said Toru. "Thank you," said Aiko. Aizawa just rubbed his eyes. Today was just a mess, that was for sure. Meanwhile, on the dream beach, Izuku looked around. He quickly realized why a beach would probably be a good place for the two meet. After all, Sanji was a pirate and spent most of his life on the sea, while a beach for him was the place where got stronger. But at the same time, it was so strange seeing Sanji here. After all, those internal debates weren't really him arguing with Sanji. They were just a clever metaphor used to personify the abstract concept of thought. But this was him actually meeting him. "How is this even possible?" asked Izuku. Sanji was about to say something. "No, I get it's a dream," said Izuku, "just everything. We're the same person, even if I'm just a small sliver of our soul," said Sanji. "Anyways, after we meet Luna, I figured out how to do this. I never figured I had to talk to you, so I hadn't before." "Why now?" asked Izuku. "To be honest, I thought you needed to figure it out for yourself," said Sanji, "but with everything going on, you need to know. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if TNT for Brains figured it out right away." "Figure out what?" asked Izuku. "Your Conqueror's Haki," said Sanji. "What?" asked Izuku, confused. Meanwhile, in a particular part of the city where Nomu were attacking, a bus had arrived. It of course was the bus that was carrying Class 1A. They saw there were a lot of Nomu nearby. Many budlings were destroyed as well. "There's so many here," said Kaminari. "Remember, you don't have to worry about them," said Aizawa. "I didn't think we would have to use our licenses so soon," said Kyoka. "I know, but considering it's our class," said Siro. "Remember what we did during the exam," said Ida, taking charge. "With the fighting team. Are you two ready?" asked Momo, who clearly in charge of the three. Katsuki coated his swords in haki and ran into battle with the Nomu. "He needs this, you know," said Aiko. "We know," said Shoto, who looked ready to fight them as well. Back on the Dram beach. "What do you mean I have Conqueror's Haki? That should be impossible." "I mean, it has to be one for all replicating it," said Izuku. "From what I found out, it can do a lot of things, but it can't replicate Haki," said Sanji. "Then how do I have? I mean, you weren't born with it, so I shouldn't have it," said Izuku. Sanji sighed. "Except for TNT for Brains, I hate everyone from your old schools. those that pushed you down for being useless. Your teachers, your classmates, who really knew else. At least he learned his lesson, the others need to go to hell. Muttered Sanji. I know. Said Izuku. They destroyed your self-esteem. Said Sanji. Izuku didn't say anything from that. I hate this world. Muttered Sanji, not the people in it, but how everyone is focused on quirks. So many people didn't have devil fruit powers. Shanks, Mihawk, Garp. Both of them shuddered at the name Garp. Why did you bring him up? Asked Izuku. He's a good example. Muttered Sanji. I know, but that didn't make him any less terrifying. Said Izuku. But the point is plenty of the strongest people didn't have devil fruit powers. Said Sanji. Izuku didn't say anything. I know. Sighed Izuku. But you are right. Said Sanji, I wasn't born with Conqueror's Haki. Izuku sighed. You were. Said Sanji. What? Asked Izuku surprised. Meanwhile with the Nomu fight. Shoto set several Nomu on fire, which seemed to be the best method to handle them. Katsuki noticed and started to use his explosions on them. That was when he got a strange feeling. What's wrong? Asked Momo. It's nothing. Said Katsuki. Momo nodded, unaware that Katsuki had the feeling like something very good just happened. Back on the dream beach. I mean, how can I be born with Conqueror's Haki? That doesn't make any sense. Said Izuku. It makes a lot of sense. Said Sanji with a shrug, we're different people with different goals and different personalities. And you were always meant to be a leader. But, said Izuku, you were the one that saved Todoroki from himself, and I'm sure you would have had you not gotten my memories. I'm sure if you hadn't gotten my memories you would have saved your friend in Hosu and you would have saved that little brat back at the camp. You might have not had my skills but you would have pushed yourself just to save them. Not to mention what you've done with All Might. Izuku couldn't say anything. But I, said Izuku. You weren't useless, you're not without your quirk and you're not without my memories. I'm sure TNT for brains would have eventually realized it. Said Sanji. But also how is it even possible I was born with it? Said Izuku. I know you're lying to yourself on that part. I mean you're already planning to teach your closest classmates Haki. Said Sanji, so don't pretend you don't understand that you were born with it. Izuku sighed knowing his past life was right about that. If you weren't kidnapped and knocked out I would have let you figure it out at your own pace, but considering who kidnapped you, I had to let you know. Said Sanji. Are you sure I was born with it? I mean, said Izuku. Sanji walked over and began to ruffle his hair. Normally he wouldn't be gentle to a boy, but this was one. His reincarnation into him would just cause more problems. I already told you, you got the #1 hero to mentor you without my memories. If that doesn't prove that you were born with it, I don't know what will, said Sanji. Did you just ruffle my hair? Asked Izuku knowing that out of character for Sanji. I have many reasons. Muttered Sanji giving him a light glare. Izuku's sweat dropped. You're amazing Izuku. Said Sanji, it's not just because of your quirk, and I know all of your friends know it, and your dad. All Might isn't my dad. Said Izuku. Not by blood. I thought my memory showed you that family doesn't mean blood. Said Sanji. Izuku laughed realizing that he did have something of a point. That was when the beach began to fade. What's going on? Asked Izuku. You're waking up. Said Sanji. Izuku paled a little. Believe me when I say you were the one born with it. Said Sanji, who began to fade away as well. I'll try. Said Izuku. Sanji sighed knowing with Izuku practically non-existent self-esteem it would be the best he would say. Also one more thing, when this is all over you better ask out Achiko," said Sanji with a sly grin. "I mean you two shouldn't tap dance around each other for too much longer." "What's that supposed to mean?" yelled Izuku. But that was when he woke up and found himself in the windowless, doorless room where the other students were waking up. "Unhand those cheeseburgers, you villain!" yelled Fujio, waking up. The other four were awake when he yelled that out. "What were you dreaming about?" asked Kami, trying not to laugh. "Just ignore that," said Fujio. Aiko immediately sent out a message. To the four teachers of the other students, she told them, "Your student is now conscious." However, for those from UA, they got a very different message. "I have news. And it's about Izuku. He and the others are now conscious," said Aiko. "Once things change, I will deliver the news." Katsuki grinned when he got the news, knowing that Aiko wouldn't lie about this. "He's alright at least," said Todoroki. "Yeah, but there's other things to worry about," said Katsuki. "On the rooftop with All Might and Hibiki." "So, are you all rested up?" asked Hibiki. "I think so," said All Might. "All right. Let's rescue our kid," said Hibiki. All Might nodded. Meanwhile, the one who had kidnapped them knew that the five had awakened. He got ready for when knew that All Might would show up. Because after all, the worst part of the invasion has have yet to happen. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 82. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.